Welcome to the Copycat Stitch podcast, where I am hoping we can get through one video without major technical difficulties. I'm using new microphones because my last couple videos had issues with the microphones because I got a new camera because the old one kept overheating and dying in the middle. I don't think I've made a video in like 2 months that didn't have catastrophic last minute issues that absolutely demolished my willpower to make more videos. So I think maybe these new microphones work. Hopefully they don't die. They're wireless. So like I'm very nervous that it's just going to die in the middle of me yammering on for 45 minutes. But we'll see what happens. If you're new here, hi, I'm Bailey. I'm the Copycat Stitch here on YouTube and on Instagram. I would love if you would hang around today, check out what I'm working on, and maybe subscribe and come back in the next one. I recently went to the Central New York Fiber Festival, and I am making plans to go to more fiber festivals this summer, as well as I'm going to try to knock out as much of the New York Fiber Trail as I can. So I've got a lot of content coming up this summer. I hope you stick around, and let's dive into this mess. So I have 2 finished objects, which is a big difference from last time when I feel like I had like 20 finished objects. One, which I made in like 24 hours and was so satisfying, is this secret crop top from Jessie Maed Designs. This is a free pattern from her, and she has a bunch of paid patterns that are really cute too. And I just kind of chose this one because, like I mentioned last time, I have lately had a very serious case of CastOn-itis. And the only thing that's making me feel better lately is to constantly start new projects. So I swear I have 1,000 whips going, and I have low-level guilt about them, but also not as much as I normally do. I just feel like I've got to keep moving. I've got to keep making new things and like trying new stuff. And it's summertime and we got to be quick about it. I don't know what's gotten into me, but I cast this on. I worked on it for like a day, maybe a day and a half. And I only had 2 hanks of this yarn. That is, I think, something from Juniper Moon, but I don't remember what the base is called. But it's really pretty. It's really soft cotton. I'm pretty sure I had it because I got it on sale at one of the yarn stores I visited on a road trip. And it came out really nice. It fits really well. It was so simple. I'm very struck by some of the really nice design, like thoughtful design choices that are in this pattern for a free pattern. It's great. So I'm definitely looking into buying more of hers. She just came out with one recently. It's like a high neck something. Oh, mock. No, it's not a mock neck, but it's like a, oh my God, I don't remember what it's called. Here's a picture of it. I love it. And I think I'm going to buy that and make that one soon. But this one came out really good. And it fits great. And it went really, really quick. And I kind of immediately cast on another one. I guess we can talk about things out of order, right? So like I said, I made this in such a short period of time. And I was like on a little high from casting on and finishing something so quickly that I immediately went up to my yarn stash and tried to just pick a different yarn that would work to make another one. And I picked out this cotton wool blend. It's called the Mixed Organic from We Are Knitters. I had a quite large quantity left over. It was like a ball and a half maybe, or at least one full ball and a fraction of another one left over from a sweater kit I bought from them. And even though the yarn to me is very thin, it's almost like a sport weight or lighter, I knew that the Giza sweater, which is the kit that I bought it for, was on size 8, which is 5mm needles, which to me is a large size to use for the weight of the yarn, but I knew I liked how that fabric came out in the Giza sweater. So I cast on another secret crop top, and again, in like 24 hours, worked through 80% of it before I realized I was absolutely going to run out of yarn. So I put it down and didn't touch it for 2 weeks because that's the healthy response to anything, right? So just yesterday, I decided to go into my stash and just find something that kind of coordinated. I had a partial skein. This is Patons Grace. It's mercerized cotton. It's not the best thing, it's not the worst thing, but honestly, it's an off-white that kind of closely matches the off-white that's marled into the original yarn that I chose anyway. And I think it worked out pretty well. I'm almost done with it. I finished one strap. I'm literally halfway through the other. This should be done. This is basically a finished object. I just need to finish knitting the strap and sew them down. But the stitch definition is very wonky. The cotton doesn't hold up very well. I think blocking will do a lot for it. But I don't know. I think it looks kind of intentional. At least I had enough foresight to realize when the yarn was going to run out that I needed to start striping something in, and I decided to just go bold with it. And I really didn't have enough yarn to do more than maybe like one more of these shortened rows at the top here. So I'm fully out of the gray yarn now. But I think it worked out. And I did do the last couple fully in the round rows out of the off-white Patons color so that when I sew the straps on, they're not like attaching to a different color. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it'll be cute when I wrap it up. I definitely got my momentum back yesterday and feel a little more accomplished for it. I'm about to finish up one more whip and turn it into a finished object tonight. That'll feel good. Another finished object that I have that I hadn't even started last time is this sweater that I actually don't even remember the name of. This was another really quick one. This is made out of a yarn that I found at, I believe, Persimmon Farms booth at Rhinebeck last year. It's called Bunny Bum Cotton. It's 100% cotton, I believe. There's very little detail about what it is on the label. And it's called the Delaney cardigan. I don't know why I couldn't think of that at first. It's the Delaney cardigan. The Bunny Bum Cotton is really interesting. It's that kind of wavy, I don't know. The yarns that I think of that are a similar construction are like Lion Brand Homespun or like Karen Cotton Cakes. I mean, obviously Homespun is mostly acrylic and this is all cotton. So I guess it's more like Karen Cotton Cakes where it's like a thin thread that kind of just secures into place like these wavy little tufts of the fiber. It's very soft. I got 3 hanks of it from Rhinebeck and it's kind of been like on my mind ever since. I have really wanted to use it for something, and it's something that like periodically I just start thinking about, like, what am I going to do with that Bunny Bum cotton, and start browsing Ravelry and trying to pick a good pattern. And I never really came up with anything, and I don't know why. But last week, I just really, really felt like working with it, and I buckled down and I picked a pattern, and it was a free pattern, and it was a really perfect one for this. I ended up with less than half a skein left over. This has not been blocked yet, so it's very dense and it will open up a lot with blocking, I think. You might be able to see if I just show you like this, but it's stripes alternating between like solid rows of half double crochet and this like open mesh bit. And I do think that with blocking, the mesh will open up a lot more, but it is very comfy. I hope it'll get a bit more drapey and the sleeves will grow a little with blocking. I think if nothing else, the cotton's pretty heavy and over time the sleeves will grow just naturally. But yeah, I started on Friday night because we were going to Pittsburgh for Father's Day weekend, and I worked on it in the car, which is a new development. Previously, I had only worked on knitting in the car because I have issues with motion sickness, but I thought I would try taking Dramamine and crocheting in the car, truly, but just because I was so intent on working on this project and I was really enjoying it and wanted to finish it. And I had no issue. So I took non-drowsy Dramamine and worked on this all the way down to Pittsburgh, which is a little over a 5-hour drive from where we are. And I worked on it all weekend when we were visiting with family in Pittsburgh. And then I worked on it. No, I didn't work on it on the way home because I finished all the panels while we were there. It's one large back panel, 2 small front panels, and 2 sleeves that are all separate and then seamed together at the end. And I finished all 5 of them while we were down there. So I actually worked on a different whip on the way home, which I don't have here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go downstairs at some point and get that. But yeah, this was a quick one. I really, really enjoyed it. I have very much been into crochet lately. You'll see I've got a lot more crochet projects than normal. I think it's just summertime. I'm into it. It feels like I said, you got to quick. For some reason, I just feel like I got to pick up the pace with my crafting in the summer, and crochet is fulfilling that need for me. I'm going to talk about a couple of my other whips before I go grab that one from downstairs. This one, just be quick, you should be pretty familiar with, but this is my Fossil Frenzy tee. Very happy with this. It's kind of a mess right now, but I actually finally separated for sleeves. This is a pattern by Mary P. Hunt, and the yarn is from Yarnaceous Fibers. It's a kit I bought last year that I've been sitting on for a long time. The purple colorway is called Dryosaurus, and this contrast color, the like kind of yellowy green, is Beak. This is a fingering weight raglan that took forever just to get through the sleeves, and now I've gotten to the incredibly complex color work pattern to work around the body. So it's going to take a long time. This is definitely a slow burn. I have gotten like 3 or 4 rows into the color work, but then I decided that it was bothering me that the sleeves weren't done, and I thought I would enjoy it more if I were just to finish the sleeves and then continue on the body, because I'm kind of like that. I don't know if anybody else is like this. Like, comment below and tell me if you are, but I kind of enjoy a project way more, especially if it's like a top-down project, if I feel like what is coming off of my needles is like a finished item. Like, I never follow the directions in order if you're supposed to do like pick up stitches for the collar at the end, or like finish like a t-shirt where you finish the sleeves at the end. I always like want to finish the sleeves and finish off the collar and weave in all the ends so that like the top portion, like it's just a t-shirt, right? Like, I mean, it's not yet, but the idea is it's just finished, and all I've got to do is like add all this length. I especially with sweaters in the winter, I really like finishing off the neckline and weaving in the ends, so like I can already envision the finished product as I'm working through the trunk of it. So not a ton of progress on, I mean, it is a ton of progress on this one, but it just looks like more purple. But yeah, I've gotten pretty far, and I'm going to keep doing that, but it's not going to be at any quick clip, because like I said, I'm feeling crochet and like quick, and this is the absolute opposite of that. Another eager cast on and quick clip is this. I also don't know the name of this. Like, now I'm going through this thing where I find these crochet patterns online for free, or knitting patterns, I guess, and I like fly through them in a short period of time, and I never even actually bother to learn the name of the pattern, which is a bad thing. But I've just had the browser tab open on my phone, so I keep opening it up to the blog where this free pattern is posted, and I don't even remember what it is. So I apologize to the person named here who wrote the pattern. It's really nice. It doesn't look quite polished yet, but it definitely does at the end. It's a nice little ribbed crochet tank top. You make 2 identical panels for the front and back and seam them together, and then it's a bit wibbly around the edge here, but the last step is to do like a slip stitch border around the armholes and the neck holes. I think it's going to be stinking cute. This has not taken particularly long. It's hard to gauge because I worked on it before and after our Pittsburgh trip, but this is a fingering weight Black Friday 8/4 cotton from Hobbii. I'm not going to bother with the colorway because it's just a number, I know. But yeah, my mom gave me a few packs of this Black Friday cotton a couple years ago for Christmas, and I've made other stuff out of it before, and it's the kind that's a little bit stiff when you first start working with it, but after you work with it for a little while, and certainly after you wear the finished garment, it softens up gorgeously. So I'm excited to have this nice little cotton tank top as soon as I can also wrap up this supposedly quick cast on, cast off that has now taken a couple weeks. This one is downright depressing, and I think I'm not going to devote much time to this or else I will be upset. Last time, I naively declared that by the time I film my next podcast, this will be a finished object, and it is not, because I did not have nearly enough yarn to finish. And I don't want to say it's not my fault, but I don't think it's my fault, and I don't know whose fault it is. But I'm pretty close to gauge, and based on the yardage that was listed on these skeins and the amount referenced in the documentation for the pattern, I should have more than enough. And it's not even close. And I was really having a fun time plowing along doing this. I was thrilled with this. And now it's just such a source of anxiety for me because I can't finish it as is. And I've already gotten to the point where I cut a bunch of corners to save yarn. And I'm still not even close to having all the components done. And I need to frog it, but it's so heartbreaking. This is my Calad shirt. It's heartbreaking because this style requires so many cuts to the yarn. I think I have to frog it and do the next size down, even though it's truly 90+% done. But I know it's just going to be such a pain to work with now, because now all of these, it's twisted around so it's kind of hard to see, but all of these vertical stripes, the yarn is cut at the end of each of these. So making the next size down to save yarn, I probably have enough to get through it, but I'm just going to be left with all of these scraps. Like, if I'm making a slightly smaller stripe every time, there's going to be like a tiny scrap of yarn every time. And I know I'm going to need every last scrap because I ran out on this one. So ultimately, I'm going to get to a point when remaking it where all I have left to work with is all of those little tiny scraps, and it's going to be such a pain, and I just can't get past it. And I'm so upset because I was so excited about this one. I loved this pattern. I already had the pink color of the yarn, and I went back to the yarn store and purposefully bought the contrast color to go with it to be able to make this pattern, and dove in and was so thrilled. And I truly, like, I think the obvious thing would be like, we'll go buy another hank of the yarn. Well, first of all, it's from a very small local dyer, so I'm certain there's no more of this dye lot out there, and I don't know that they could match it well enough that it wouldn't look off around the edges. But also, it's $28 a hank, and I've already put 3 hanks into a t-shirt, and like, part of me just can't reconcile going out because that's like $84 already, and then I'm just gonna go out and add another $28 just to get that last little bit to tie it all together. I can't. So it's been sitting untouched for probably 2 weeks now, and it's still too painful to look at, and I'm just gonna leave it for a while longer because it was so fun to start, and now I don't know. Maybe I'll problem solve and like big brain and figure out some great way to salvage it, but I think it's going to get frogged, and I think I'm going to break my heart in the process. All right, I'm going to run downstairs and grab the whip that I forgot because it's in my work bag, and probably let my phone cool down for a while because it's really hot in here, and I've lost footage before because my phone overheated and shut off. This project is weird because I wouldn't say I've been enjoying it, but I've actually been working on it a lot just because it's the most convenient one for on the go right now. When we were in Pittsburgh, this is the one that I brought whenever we were like driving around to and from different places or sitting at a restaurant. And it's the one that I worked on the whole way home because I finished the crochet project while we were there. I don't even know if I'm going to like it. Like, I'm super doubting that I'm even going to want the finished object, but it's just so convenient to keep working on it. And I'm like, well, I don't think I hate it, so keep going. This is going to be the Zesty tank, another free pattern that recently popped up. It's written for sock yarn, but it's a tank top. It's like a faux cable rib pattern. It really doesn't look that good in this yarn. From a distance, it kind of looks better than it does up close. The stitch definition is very wonky up close. I kind of keep telling myself it'll block out, but I kind of don't believe it. But I kind of don't think it matters because it's just a tank top, right? This yarn is really quite itchy, and it's something that I hope will soften a lot with blocking and wool wash. It's another Black Friday Hobbii deal. I got a couple of these not too long ago because they were on really good sale. It's just Black Friday sock yarn. These only came in 4-packs, and they were like each of 2 different colors, and there was very few to choose from. But I ended up getting these because it was just like 2 off-white and 2 gray, and I thought I can make that work. They're very affordable. You know, I like building up my stash. I'm not going to justify it for you. It's a 75-25 wool polyamide fingering sock yarn. And like I said, it's pretty itchy, but for some reason, like listen to me. I'm like, it's itchy. The stitch definition is horrible. I don't even know if I like it, but like, I'm getting really far. This is a fingering weight mock twist rib. Look at this. Maybe I do like it. Maybe I secretly have a penchant for this kind of thing and I just won't be honest with myself. I don't know. Maybe it'll turn out to be like my favorite tank top because it's so neutral and so basic that I never could have envisioned how valuable it will be. I'm going off the rails now. It's fine. It's a project that I'm perfectly neutral on, but I keep coming back to out of convenience. That's everything I brought up for whips. I, of course, still have more that I didn't bring up. There's several that I wouldn't expect to be done because I'm kind of working on them in the long term. There are several that are kind of just out of season now, so they're hibernating, so I'm not going to think about them. Still, for some reason, made almost no progress on the Amadeo cardigan, even though that one's perfectly seasonable, and I really should have finished it. I can't be held accountable for my actions. I'm not sticking with any projects now. I don't know what to tell you. Let's talk about some acquisitions instead, because that's kind of fun. My husband and I went to Ithaca for our anniversary, and we were just there for the one night. We got married in Ithaca 10 years ago, so we went back just for the one Thursday night, the 10th anniversary, and we, had a good time. We did a little photo shoot for our anniversary at the park that we got married at, and had some fun, had a lot of champagne. And then the next day we were walking around Ithaca before we were headed home, just, hanging out. And they actually had Ithaca Fest, which we didn't even realize was that weekend. So it's kind of cool. It's like a street fair with all sorts of, they close off half of downtown and there's booths and carts and food trucks and everything. And I did notice that there was a little sewing store nearby that I had never been to before, in a little area where they have these like really small retail spaces that people can rent for their businesses. It's called So Green. It's on Green Street. And it was really stinking cute. And they had a bunch of yarn. Like a good portion of the store was yarn and like knitting notions and stuff. I didn't get much, but I got a couple things. One thing I got there that I should really start on is 3 balls of this Riviera. It says made in Italy, extra cotton soft. It is extra cotton soft. I got these specifically because my sister has requested a kind of boho 70s style crochet. I don't know, one of those tops that's like somewhere between a bikini and a crop top, kind of. Yeah, we've all seen them. I told her I would make her one, mostly because it's a nice, quick summer project for me to fixate on for a couple days. And partially because she's one of the few people that I made things for that has demonstrated a good appreciation for them, especially as someone who is not crafty. She takes care of the knits, and I like that. So I'm gonna make her this top. I should probably get started on it. I'm gonna see her on Sunday, and I don't see her very often. And it's Friday now, so maybe I'll do that tonight. I don't. Yeah, that's what I should do. Is definitely start another project, right? That's rational. The only other thing I picked up at So Green shop was this fabric. It's mostly a fabric store. They had a bunch of sale bins out, and I don't know, I didn't see a ton of stuff, but I kind of liked this fabric. It's heavy, like upholstery fabric. I have a thing for telling myself I'm gonna make throw pillow covers. I have a lot of fabric that I bought for the purpose of making throw pillow covers, including this, which doesn't match my living room and it doesn't match my bedroom, and it really would only fit in the craft room, which already has more throw pillows than are functional. So I don't know what I think I'm going to do with this, but this is a nice chunk of fabric that I'm going to add to stash. I'm pretty sure the sign said it has at least 2 yards and it was $5. So I'm not mad about it. I just can't explain it. Also, while we were walking around Ithaca, we decided to stop at the bookstore. And normally I wouldn't show books on here, but I only bought knitting books, and I think that they're really cute. So I'm not going to go through them in detail, but I got this paperback, Boyfriend Sweaters, which no need to gender sweaters, but I like a lot of the look of the patterns in here for myself and possibly for boys. I don't know, but probably for me, because let's be honest, I knit for me. This one, Vintage Knits, is reprints or adaptations of a lot of like older vintage styles, which I truly love, but I don't have the wherewithal to try to adapt vintage patterns myself. I love to watch YouTubers that adapt it. All of my favorite YouTubers are the knitters or crocheters or both that like adapt vintage patterns. I love Engineering Knits. I love Retro Claude. I love Shannon Makes, like all of that type. It is so fun to watch them delve into vintage patterns and just like troubleshoot their way through it. And I have very little desire to do it myself. So the idea that somebody has already adapted them for modern use is nice. And I think I'll get a lot out of that. And then this one, excuse me, it looks a bit like outdated. It's very 80s, maybe early 90s looking, but some of the patterns like I really vibe with, so I went with it. Let's see. 1988. That wasn't too far off, right? 80s, 90s. It's black and white, so some of them might be hard to see, but I don't know. I just thought it was a nice slice of time. Oh, speaking of Engineering Knits, this particular pattern reminded me a lot of one that she wears, one of her vintage ones. I don't know. I just think it's cute. Some of these I would definitely wear now. I don't think many of the patterns in here look outdated. I mean, certainly some do, like. But overall, I think there's a lot of usable, nice, kind of rather timeless patterns in here, and that's kind of my vibe, right? Like just like a generally, I don't, timeless, like that sounds like I'm talking myself up. That's not what I mean. I just want to like wear the same stuff forever. Yarn acquisitions. So this stuff's all on top. I'm not going to talk about this because I talked about these in my Central New York Fiber Arts Festival video, which is where I bought all of these. But if you want more detail on these gorgeous, gorgeous yarns, please go check out that video. I, of course, have my monthly Salta fingering from Yarnaceous Fibers. This one's really pretty. This one didn't literally kill me like last month did, but that's good because I'm going to set it aside for my hypothetical future Salta fingering gorgeous paleobotany blanket that I will someday think about more and make. But for now, it's super squishy. It's very pretty, purpley mauve and cream. It's called Banksia, not the graffiti artist. It is, as always, presumed to be an extinct plant species. But another gorgeous, gorgeous colorway from Yarnaceous Fibers. Also, side note, I did do a pre-order kit for the Stego sweater from Yarnaceous. So I am very excited about that. I believe that one is also designed by Mary P. Hunt. And you are probably not aware because I don't think I've mentioned it particularly often on the channel, but Stegosauruses are my favorite animal and they have been for like 20 years. And I truly love Stegosauruses and they don't get enough talk. They don't get enough hype. And it really, really warms my heart, not just that there is a Stego sweater coming out, but that they've called it Stego sweater, because I have been calling Stegosauruses Stegos for as long as they've been my favorite, and my whole family knows. And I might even say for a while after I moved out of my parents' house, they continued to refer to my empty bedroom as the Stego room. So it just makes me very happy that the word Stego is coming into its own. And it makes me even more happy that I'm going to be able to make that sweater this fall. So I pre-ordered my yarn for that. You'll see it in a few months when it gets here. But well, it's something to look forward to, right? And my last acquisition, it's not my last one. There's several things in here, but it's from One Stop. When we were in Pittsburgh, we did make time to go to a little yarn store. I picked out 2 garment quantities and 1 mini. So let's start with the mini. As always, I love picking out local I guess this one's not local, but I like picking out minis at stores when I'm traveling or at festivals and stuff because that's the easiest way to bring home a souvenir and add it to my granny stripe blanket. So I just got this little guy from Knitted Wit, which is not local. I've seen them all over the place, but they are gorgeous and I do love them. And I'm not even totally convinced that this is fingering weight, but I think I might try to see if it works. I'll try to add it to my blanket, and if it's too big, I'll just use it for something else. I found, this is from a company called BC Garn, and it says Bio Balance. I'm completely unfamiliar with this, but it was very affordable. It feels really nice, and the fiber blend, I think, is one that I've really enjoyed in other bases. It's 55% wool, 45% cotton. And I have lately really been enjoying wool cotton blends. I just got these 2 hanks of this neutral tan, very earthy kind of variegated, not variegated, but it's got subtle variations to the color. That's what I'm trying to say. But the type from the natural fiber itself, I don't know what weight they would consider this. I think it's got to be like a fingering weight. And these are 50-gram balls. So this is probably gonna, I could make that Jessie Maed top that I wanted to make out of these. Maybe if there's enough. I don't know. There might be enough. Guess I'll find out. I don't even know what base that pattern calls for. And the last thing I got. I should say the name of the yarn store that I don't remember is McWalker Yarns in Millvale, Pennsylvania. Very cute. It had a very large selection for the space it was in. I was impressed. I've gone to a lot of local yarn stores and I'm gonna keep going, but this one was impressive for just the scale of selection that they had in the space and a lot of interesting stuff that you don't see everywhere. These are not super local, but they're from a Baltimore dyer called Neighborhood Fiber Co. And this colorway is called Federal Hill. Can't handle this many. It's just a gray. But it's really pretty. It's one of those, I don't know how to describe it, when you can kind of see that there's a core to the yarn that's like a slightly different color than the halo. Like, to me, the halo itself looks so much grayer and more saturated than like the twist inside, in a good way. I genuinely love it, and that's why I bought it. More neutrals. It's almost like I'm like enjoying it now. You know, these are 100% merino, superwash even. It's called Rustic Fingering, the base, which I can see, like it looks rustic, but it's superwash, I guess, which is nice. And it's a pretty light fingering. These are each 475 yards. So it's all wool. I got a light sweaters quantity, and I'm just gonna set this aside until fall at the earliest. More likely we won't see it for 9 months, but it's really pretty stuff, and it was a good opportunity. All right. Thanks for hanging around today. I really hope you can still see and hear me. I don't know what I will do if I have to deal with more technical difficulties on this one. But I'm pleased we got as far as we did, if we did. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.